Hi, and welcome to our This Westchester Live podcast. I'm Cheryl Rogers, and I'm here with Julie Walsh. Say hi, Julie.
Hello.
All right. Today we're going to be talking about what people on campus are reading and what is popular out there right now.
To figure that out, we sat down with Meme Purse, reference librarian at Francis Harvey Green Library, to ask her how they decide what goes into the new fiction collection.
As far as fiction is concerned, we used to have a small collection that was subscription-based, and we worked with a library vendor, a jobber, a library services vendor, and they just sent us a pre-selected group of novels, mysteries, and whatnot, and said, keep them for such this amount of time and see if they're popular. We stopped doing that service. We stopped the service a couple years ago because we always had added a few titles into our fiction collections that were gifts to the library. And we found that more and more things like Jodi Picoult or Nicholas Sparks books were the most popular, and the subscription service selects weren't as popular. And we're always looking for ways to save money and use the allocated money for the library in different ways. So we thought, well, maybe we'd consider that. And we found that students were asking for some of the New York Times bestseller, like the Twilight books, right, or Game of Thrones, or, Hunger Games, some of those things that you girls may read. Yeah. And so we wanted to make sure we had those. Oftentimes they're even considered as part of our juvenile collection, but we found that students were looking for those for fun reading, okay? So we stopped the subscription service, and then we're going now exclusively on donations and a few selections. And the person that you met earlier, Rachel, is responsible officially for that, but because I came from a public library background, she's been purely academic. I was academic and public. I am more familiar with popular reading habits, okay? Now, what we've done, though, to sort of combine the college needs and what we already have, we've tried to select authors and novels from a diverse group of authors. So unlike maybe one of our little local public libraries that focus sort of still on mystery or suspense writers, we're trying to pick up some African authors, some Asian American authors, some South American, just to sort of complement what's being offered in the classroom, but still be popular. So that's a long answer to sounds like a quick question, right? So we pick what we think kids want, what we want to read on a weekend, okay, and what's been given to us sometimes, and what we have requests for. So it's a combination of things.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a very incomplete collection because the literary fiction that's we would purchase outright and put into our normal collection. So popular, the new books are sort of the last couple years, and standard classical novels are in the stacks.
Right,
okay.
Absolutely.
So you get it, do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You.
Okay, long answer to a quick question. I don't know how you're going to edit that. I told you it's what we do.
The longer the clip, the better. So you did say that you noticed that the Hunger Games and Twilight is really popular. Is there anything else? Like you noticed
Shades of Grey.
Shades of Grey. Oh, 50 Shades of Grey. That's a big one.
And I tend to not read what's in vogue this year, but I might read what's in vogue last year, and that's a hangover habit from the public library because we had limited copies. I wanted to make sure the patrons got it first. So here I'm like, I want the students to read it first, or some of our regular faculty who come in looking for some of the popular works. But Jodi Picoult, like I said, she's a perennial, and sometimes suspense, things like that are also popular. That fun reading, quick reads. Oftentimes, students ask for something that they read maybe in high school or last summer, but they want to share it with a friend.
on, we sat down with some Westchester University students to find out what they're reading.
Reading now.
I just finished reading Is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me? And Other Concerns by Mindy Kaling, something like that. The title is complicated.
Very cool. Okay. And what did you think of it? You liked it?
I really liked it. It made me laugh. It was laugh out loud funny. And I like when books can make me laugh.
Always a bonus.
Yes.
So then you would recommend it?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, awesome. All right. And then, ebooks.
I am anti-ebook.
Yeah.
I like the feel of a book in my hands. I like to be able to turn pages, and taking notes and stuff always helps too, so that's good. That's a bonus that you don't really get when
What
you're
would you
using
say your
e-reader.
favorite genre is? Right, the physical experience there. Gotcha.
Especially
Okay, great.
with
Thank
my
you.
studies, I do a lot with Renaissance literature, a lot of Renaissance drama. I'm a big Shakespeare fan, which I get teased for by some people.
Classic.
But in my spare time, when it's not school, I read detective fiction. I like biographies. That's my main fun reading. Are biographies.
Okay, very cool.
Like celebrities, historical figures, things like that.
Right, all over across the spectrum. Okay, so then do you have a particular favorite book?
I'm not good at picking favorite anything, but I'll say two of my favorites from Shakespeare are his Henry IV plays, Henry IV Part 1, Henry IV Part 2. And over the summer, I read a biography of Alfred Hitchcock that was called, the director, Alfred Hitchcock, A Life in Darkness and Light, I think it was called. And it was excellent. One of those books that when I finished it, I was disappointed that I was done.
Oh, wow.
So it's all kind of boring and nerdy, but very enjoyable.
Well, that is fantastic. And so then, e-readers or regular books?
I mean, I have an e-reader, and I've used it, and it's useful, but I like just something about holding a book, smelling the paper, or being able to open it and bend the spine. It's like a fuller experience. You're using your eyes, you're using your nose, you're using your hands. You're engaging more senses, which sounds stupid, than you do with just an e-reader. It's a fuller experience.
Yeah, I understand that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so what would you say is your favorite genre?
Fantasy, definitely. Fantasy, sci-fi, magical realism, anything with lots of creativity and imagination.
Awesome. So then within that, favorite book?
Phantom Tollbooth, hands down, because the wordplay is just so cute and it's so funny, and it teaches you life lessons that are applicable to little kids and adults. I mean, if you're just young at heart in general, it's a good book to read and go back and reread 100 times, because you'll pick up something new and different every time, and the characters are just endlessly lovable. So it's a warm and fuzzy, but really insightful book at the same time. It's got a lot of awesome elements.
Fabulous. So then, what are you reading now? Or did you just read?
I just finished Life of Pi, and that book blew my mind and changed my world and flipped me upside down. I mean, it's just, you have to read it and just get to the ending as fast as possible, because it'll make you, go back and do the whole thing over again in a new way. And any book that can make you do that and have that effect on you is, really powerful and a giant work of art, so I commend it for that.
Absolutely. Okay, so then, yes, and what would you say, the last book that you read for fun? You said that was for class.
Right, yeah, that was for class.
Awesome though it was.
It was great. Oh, shoot, what was the last book I read for fun? You just let me borrow Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling, so that will be my next book to read for fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Okay, and then, last question. Do you prefer regular books or e-readers?
I definitely prefer physical books. I have nothing against e-readers. I have a Kindle. They're great to use in class. They're great for portability. Is that a word? They're great for traveling with, but I like the physical feel of a book in my hands. I like to highlight and like bookmark my pages. I like to get very physical with my books. We have a relationship, and it's very romantic and nice.
And last but not least, we sat down with Maddie Stockdale from the Sykes Bookstore to find out what's popular in the bookstore right now. What do you see that's popular? What books are selling out of the bookstore faster?
I would say most of the books recently, we just got the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy in, so that one's been selling like crazy. Another one is Beautiful Disaster, which is kind of similar. I know a lot of the girls in the bookstore are really obsessed with that book, and like we have the sequel coming in, so people are really excited about that. We also just got, like, a lot of the times if there's like a movie coming out based on a book, like we just had The Host, it's coming out on this weekend. We just got that one in. So a lot of the times it's stuff like that. And another book which I just read was called Gone Girl by Julianne Flynn, and it's gotten really popular, and a lot of her other books we've started to get into, so it all depends,
Tell me about the book by Julianne Flynn. What is that about exactly?
Gone Girl? It's so good. I read it in like a day. It's basically like this husband and wife, and you see it first from the husband's point of view, and the girl like just disappears, and you're like, oh my god, did he kill her? And you don't know what happened, but then all of a sudden there's like a huge twist, but I don't want to spoil it, but there's like a huge twist, and it's like, it's almost kind of like a Lifetime movie, but she writes it so well that like you actually believe that this could happen. Like, it's so good, and it's really dark and kind of twisted, and it makes you feel like you've been really manipulated at the end, but you're like, this is so good. It's amazing.
Wow, that really sounds awesome. So you would say that it's like a suspense kind of?
Definitely, yeah, it definitely is. And when you find out what the twist is, it's about like a quarter of the way through the book, you get to the twist and you're just like, that didn't just happen. Like, I was reading it and I was like, me and my mom were talking, and she was just like, what are you doing? And I was like, this book is insane, you don't understand, it's going crazy.
Wow, that sounds awesome. So how do you decide what books to get for the popular fiction section of the bookstore? Are you in charge, or how does that whole process work? What do you see that's popular? Do you decide what's popular and then figure it out from there, or how does that work?
Normally what we do is our supply guy, Reggie, normally is the one who orders the popular books, but normally he'll come to a couple of the girls in the bookstore and like have us like tell him what we think is like what we like to read and what we enjoy and what we think a lot of people on campus would want to read. And then he sort of takes those ideas and uses them. And also like I said earlier about like the movies, a lot of the times he tries to keep up with that kind of thing. And like if there's like an adaptation coming out, he'll try to get those books in for us because they normally sell pretty quickly.
All right, great. Thank you so much for doing this for us. We've really enjoyed talking to you.